over 5,500 native plant species here in California. That means there's a huge range of biodiversity in the botany around us, embellishing our landscapes through their variety of scents, hues, and forms. Native plants certainly are eye-catchers, but they are not here to simply serve as visually pleasing features of nature. They are essential to our environment. Unfortunately, as beneficial as they are to our ecosystem, more plants are being depleted than they should be. So, we decided to spread the awareness of preserving native plants of California. Without these plants based in California, we would definitely not thrive as much. After all, our home is their home too.
There are so many benefits that native plant species have in our ecosystem. 40% of these native plant species are endemic, meaning they don't grow anywhere else. This means that they can impact our environment in California in their own unique ways that outside plants cannot do.
Some of these benefits include water usage, as they minimize irrigation and use 80% less water on average, and cool the atmosphere in the water cycle. They also reduce our carbon footprints and attract wildlife, providing them with food and shelter. Because they are adapted in the local environment, they are low cost and also very durable in California soil.
Preserving California native plant species is so vital to our ecosystem because the plants have evolved to become dependent on its unique terrain. These plants grow best on California soil and correlate with weather and season. They also create their own defense against pesticides and co-evolve around pests. If the species here are depleted, it would alter the complex web of wildlife that has been present in California for so long.
Native plant species also help purify the air around us here in California, as they do not need to be mowed regularly on lawns. Non-native plants, on the other hand, require to be mowed, with approximately 40 million lawn mowers using 200 million gallons of gas annually, as well as gas-powered garden tools producing roughly 5% of air pollution.
Of course, the best-known native plant would be no other than the state flower, the California poppy. Anyone would be able to identify the distinctive and vibrant rounded orange petals of the flower that is found throughout California. Other features of the California poppy includes its waxy pale blue-green foliage. The poppy can also be a sedative effect by its leaves and roots. As expected of the state flower, it is extremely drought-tolerant, quick-growing, self-seeding, and overall tough plant that sustains its life best in its natural habitat.
Our goal of spreading the idea of preserving native plant species furthered our search. We emailed expert Frank Almeida in hopes of getting some answers.
Frank Almeida is from the California Academy of Sciences, also known as the Institute for Biodiversity Science and Sustainability. Question 1. What would it do to the environment if native species were depleted? His answer. Good question, and of course no one has the right answer here, but just remember that all of these species co-evolve with lots of other species, both plants and animals who serve as pollinators and dispersal agents. So if the native flora is badly depleted, it will have a significant cascade effect that will degrade other forms of life as well.
Since we wanted native species to be protected, there was no better way than to find locations that stored plants and allowed them to flourish freely. First stop, California Academy of Sciences in San Francisco. The living roof of the California Academy of Sciences is considered the heart of the museum. The distinctive solar panels and 7 hills are what makes the rooftop stand out from other places holding native plants. These are not only just for show. Hundreds of thousands of biodegradable vegetation trays filling up the space with over 1 million different plant species and around 70 plants native to California. These trays are made from coconut husk fiber and tree sap to prevent plants and soil from sliding off the elevated area. The roof is also comprised of several layers that incorporate and assist healthy plant life and manage moisture. The soil on the roof is required to be less than 6 inches in depth, lightweight, and be able to retain water, oxygen, other nutrients, and provide anchorage for the root systems of the native plants.
Wishing to witness more of the beauty of native plant species, we went to Ulistag Natural Area, a park holding countless members of Californian plants.
Sadly, there are several factors accounting for the reduction in native plants. Invasive species, or species that grow and spread rapidly while harming other native wildlife, are the cause of 42% of species to be threatened or endangered.
Some invasive species include ice plants and eucalyptus trees, which prevent erosion, threaten native plants, and alter the soil in California. Habitat loss and degradation can also endanger native plant species, as they shrink biodiversity and deform the environment made for them, which leads to harming the humans living in the ecosystem as well. We also contacted expert Steve Windhager, Executive Director of the Santa Barbara Botanic Garden, to ask about his answers about native plant species.
It just becomes more depauperate over time, so fewer and fewer species are able to live in a given area. When you have fewer species, they're less. The ecosystem is less able to respond to turbulence and change, such as climate change.
So what can we do to help native plant species? Spreading awareness about them is a first, so people will acknowledge the importance of them. Since they are dependent on the habitat surrounding them, we have to preserve the habitat to preserve them. We can even grow and garden native plant species from local nurseries to our backyard, as they are simple to maintain and avoid planting those that damage our environment rather than help it. Saving these plants means saving the places we stand on after all. Participating in plant sales, garden tours, volunteering at conservation organizations, or simply donating to such organizations like CNPS, we can all contribute to preserving native plants. Native plant species in California really don't just beautify our home, they nourish and depend on it, which also gives us a whole lot of benefits. Without having native plant species, it's just like having a missing piece of a puzzle. It has to be included to allow a healthy and blossoming habitat. By supporting the environment, humans, and native animal species, what reasons are there to not help protect them? By flourishing our lands, being low maintenance, saving water, attracting pollinators, and more, these species must be preserved to fulfill their role in thriving with our community as a whole. So together, let us nurture the future.
I was a lonely man with an empty hand, and I wanted it filled with treasure. So I left my land and scrapped my plan for a love that has no measure. And I'd hear them say, go this or that way, followed maps that men had sold me. I did some time with the finest minds, but not one of them could have told me I was looking for you. Now we're standing at the doorstep.
Wait, this photo was taken by someone at the front of Harrison.
Uh-huh.
That's so cool.
Yeah. What are you doing?
Oh, you're so cute.
Open your wings. Look at all these fried egg flowers.
Oh, I jumped away.
Oh god.
Oh, oh wow, I'm sorry.